It has now been 5 long weeks since 4-year-old Gus Lamont disappeared without a trace from his family's remote homestead in South Australia. The vast land surrounding the property has been combed by hundreds of searchers, police, local farmers, SES volunteers, and even members of the Australian Defence Force. Helicopters circled overhead, drones scanned from above, and divers searched every nearby water source. In a desperate bid to find answers, authorities drained over 3 million liters of water from a dam near the property. But once the mud settled, there was still no sign of Gus. Today, in a surprising twist, police have confirmed that the search for Gus may resume once again. A new phase of investigation, built on fresh analysis and peer-reviewed findings, could soon bring teams back to the very place where this mystery began. The case has captivated hearts across Australia and beyond. People want to understand, how can a child vanish so completely? What could have been missed? And what will this new search focus on? In this video, we'll break down everything you need to know: the facts behind the renewed operation, the details of what has been found so far, and what investigators believe could happen next. Before we begin, please remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. And in the comments, share your thoughts. Do you believe the search will finally bring closure for the family? Because sometimes, keeping the conversation alive is what keeps the truth from being forgotten. It's been 5 agonizing weeks since Gus Lamont was last seen. 5 weeks of uncertainty, fear, and heartbreak for a family that still wakes up each day hoping for a miracle. Gus was last seen playing near a sand mound outside his grandparents' homestead at Oak Park Station, roughly 300 kilometers northeast of Adelaide. It was around 5 p.m. on September 27th, an ordinary afternoon that turned into an unthinkable nightmare. Within half an hour, the cheerful sound of a child's laughter vanished into silence. When his grandmother called him in, there was no answer. The family searched the nearby area, calling his name, expecting to find him just around the corner. But as darkness fell, panic began to take hold. That night, police were called, and from that moment, one of the largest search efforts in South Australian history began. For days, rescue teams combed through the harsh terrain, rocky, dry, and unforgiving. Helicopters swept overhead. Drones scanned from the sky. Ground team, some walking for miles under the sun, covered every direction from the homestead. They followed footprints, checked sheds, water tanks, and fence lines, but every trail seemed to fade into nothing. Then came the moment that broke many hearts. After several days of relentless searching, experts warned that survival in such conditions was unlikely. The search shifted from a rescue mission to a recovery operation. For Gus's family, that change in wording carried a weight no one should ever have to bear. Yet, even in the quiet that followed, hope refused to die out completely. Locals, neighbors, and even strangers across Australia continued to send prayers, messages, and support. Online, thousands followed every update, desperate for even the smallest sign that Gus could still be found. But through all the compassion and community support, one question began to echo louder with each passing day. How can a young boy disappear from his own backyard with no trace left behind? Just when many thought the case had gone completely cold, a sudden twist reignited public attention. South Australia Police announced they were considering resuming the search for Gus, not just to look for clues, but potentially to bring long-awaited closure to his family. The statement came from Police Commissioner Grant Stevens, who revealed that new analysis and expert reviews of the case had prompted authorities to rethink their approach. He explained that the original search had been guided by survivability experts, specialists who calculated how far a child of Gus's age could realistically wander and how long he might endure the outback conditions without food or water. Those findings helped determine how far and how long rescuers would search during the first few operations. But now, new data, possibly from mapping technology, weather records, and search grid evaluations, has suggested there may be gaps in the previous searches that deserve a second look. Commissioner Stevens made it clear that this isn't about blame or criticism. In fact, 2 peer reviews were conducted by external experts who examined how the entire search was handled. Their conclusion? The teams had worked tirelessly and with precision, but even the best operations can miss something in such vast, unpredictable terrain. He said, "We are continuing to go back because we are still committed to recovering Gus for the family, so everybody has some sense of closure." That statement struck an emotional chord. It wasn't just about the mission. It was about human compassion. The police, despite their exhaustion, still want to help the family find peace. And that's where things took an even more intriguing turn. Authorities revealed that search teams could return to Oak Park Station for a 4th time, and guided by this new information. No specific date was given, but the tone was clear. They are not done yet. The question now is, what could this new data mean? Could it point to an overlooked area, a hidden clue, or even a shift in theory about what really happened to little Gus Lamont? When the dam near the Lamont family's homestead was drained, it marked one of the most dramatic moments in the search for Gus. Authorities had already searched the water weeks earlier using divers and sonar, but this time they wanted to go further, to remove all doubt. The dam, sitting roughly 600 meters from the homestead, held an enormous 3.2 million liters of water. That's about the size of an Olympic swimming pool times 2. Police decided to drain it completely, funneling the water into another nearby holding dam so they could comb through every inch of mud, weeds, and underwater vegetation. The decision wasn't made lightly. Draining a dam in such a remote area takes days of coordination, heavy machinery, and environmental planning. But the goal was clear: to visually confirm that Gus wasn't in the water. As the muddy water receded, officers and search teams watched closely, scanning for anything: a small boot, a piece of clothing, even a trace of movement. Locals from nearby properties waited with heavy hearts, silently hoping the dam would either bring answers or relief. After hours of careful searching, the report came back. No sign of Gus, no trace, nothing of significance found. For some, that was a devastating blow, a missed chance at closure. But for others, it reignited hope. If he wasn't in the dam, maybe, just maybe, he was somewhere else. The draining of the dam also raised new questions. If not the water, then where? How could a 4-year-old vanish so completely without a trace? No clothes, no tracks, no personal items. In such a wide open landscape? Police reiterated that no evidence of foul play had been found. Every indication still pointed to a wandering incident, not an abduction or a cover-up. Yet, among the public, theories began to swirl again. Had Gus simply wandered farther than anyone thought possible? Or was there something, or someone, that everyone was missing? As this haunting question lingered, the focus slowly shifted from the dam to what might come next. Could new technology or community leads finally uncover the truth? As days turned into weeks with still no trace of Gus, police knew that traditional search tactics weren't enough anymore. They had combed through more than 60,000 hectares of rugged land, on foot, with dogs, on horseback, by air, and even with drones. Yet the outback seemed to have swallowed every clue. That's when technology and data became the next frontier. Investigators began reanalyzing satellite imagery, drone footage, and GPS data collected during the first search. Every thermal scan from aircraft was reviewed again, this time with upgraded imaging filters that could pick up subtle changes in soil temperature or disturbed ground. Even more, digital mapping tools were brought into play. By combining topography, vegetation density, and previous search grids, experts created a 3D model of the property, allowing them to visualize where a small child might have traveled based on slope, sightlines, and even the direction of the wind that day. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens later revealed that further analysis of data could guide a fourth search operation, meaning that artificial intelligence or advanced analytics may soon be used to determine high probability zones. Behind the scenes, search experts and survival analysts also revisited earlier assumptions about how far a child of Gus's age might travel. They cross-referenced his known behaviors, his curiosity, independence, and familiarity with the land, against dozens of past wilderness survival cases. Some data models suggested he might have wandered beyond the initially marked perimeter, following a sound, an animal, or simply exploring the unfamiliar terrain. Others proposed that natural camouflage, like dense brush or ditches, could have hidden him even in areas already searched multiple times. The renewed focus on technology wasn't about replacing human searchers, it was about amplifying what they missed. Every byte of data, every pixel of drone footage, every GPS coordinate could hold the one clue that breaks the silence. And for a case as emotionally charged as Gus's, the hope was simple. If humans couldn't find him, maybe the data could. As the investigation enters its fifth week, investigators and survival experts have become more vocal about what they believe might have happened and what still could. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens publicly acknowledged that 2 independent peer reviews had been carried out to assess the initial search efforts. These reviews were designed to identify gaps, evaluate techniques, and determine whether the team might have missed anything. According to him, there was no criticism of how the search was conducted, but both reviews pointed out opportunities to enhance their approach. That means investigators now have fresh insights, new methods, and possibly new areas to explore. Survival specialists who have followed the case agree that the South Australian terrain presents an enormous challenge. The landscape is vast, dry, and deceptively similar in every direction. Easy for anyone, especially a child, to become disoriented in. Once night falls, the temperature can plummet, reducing visibility and survivability dramatically. One expert noted that children Gus's age often display a unique wandering pattern. Unlike adults who tend to follow trails or logical paths, young children move erratically, stopping, turning back, or sitting down when tired. This unpredictable movement makes standard search grid patterns less effective. Meanwhile, tracking specialists say it's still possible to uncover new evidence, even weeks later. Footprints, disturbed soil, or small personal items can survive for long periods in the arid outback if undisturbed. Police haven't ruled out another physical search, but they're relying heavily on forensic analysis and data-driven mapping to guide their next move. They're also in ongoing consultation with psychological experts who study how children react when lost. Data that could help determine the distance Gus might have traveled before seeking shelter or sitting down to wait. Despite the heartbreak and the passing time, officials insist they remain committed to finding Gus. Every update from the commissioner carries that same solemn tone, cautious, but still hopeful. At this point, it's no longer just a search operation. It's a mission for answers, for closure, and for the truth about what really happened to a little boy who simply vanished from a quiet outback homestead. Beyond the maps, the drones, and the official statements lies the human side of this tragedy, a side often hidden from the spotlight. For the Lamont family, each day since Gus disappeared has felt like a lifetime. The quiet of the outback, once a place of peace and routine, now echoes with absence. Every sound, every gust of wind, every creak in the homestead carries a question they can't escape. Where is Gus? Those close to the family describe a household caught between hope and heartbreak. And at first, there was movement. People arriving, officers knocking on doors, searchers combing the land. Now, with the search scaled back, what remains is silence and uncertainty. The grandmother, who was caring for Gus the evening he vanished, has reportedly been struggling with guilt and exhaustion. To lose sight of a child, even for a moment, is every caregiver's nightmare. And the weight of that guilt, especially under national attention, can be unbearable. Family members have been described as emotionally drained but still cooperative with police, even as online speculation grows louder. It's easy for outsiders to create theories, but for those living this nightmare, each rumor cuts a little deeper. Locals say the entire community has felt the ripple effect. In a small town, everyone knows everyone. And when tragedy strikes one family, the whole area feels it. Farmers have spoken about how they've found themselves standing by the fence lines at dusk, staring into the distance, imagining what it must be like to lose someone so young in a place so vast. Even volunteers who joined the early searches have struggled to move on. One described how the experience changes the way you see the land. It's not just beautiful anymore, it's heavy. And through it all, there's the emotional fatigue that comes from waiting for news, for a sign, for closure. Every search, every update, every drained dam has carried the same underlying hope that maybe, somehow, they'll bring Gus home. When tension rises in a case as mysterious as this, theories inevitably begin to surface. The grandmother's emotional outburst when she reportedly confronted a visiting journalist only fueled the already burning curiosity across online communities. Some saw her reaction as a sign of guilt or something being hidden. But others, perhaps more empathetic, argued it was simply the response of a woman who had been pushed too far, grieving, scrutinized, and desperate for peace in her own home. Online discussions have since divided into several camps. The first believes Gus may have wandered off and succumbed to the harsh conditions of the outback, an accident that became a heartbreaking mystery due to the vastness of the land. A second theory suggests that someone might have unknowingly picked him up, mistaking him for a child in need of help. Remote regions often have long roads and few witnesses, meaning even a single chance encounter could go unnoticed. A third, more speculative view questions whether the boy could have found shelter, perhaps in an abandoned structure or near a water source, and that the ongoing recovery efforts might still uncover new clues. Then there are those who link the grandmother's visible distress to the strain of being under constant suspicion. They point out that her silence since the incident may not be secrecy, but survival, a retreat from the noise of public judgment. Experts familiar with family trauma cases remind the public that stress can manifest in unpredictable ways. Outbursts, withdrawal, defensiveness, all are common reactions when someone feels trapped between personal loss and public pressure. In the absence of answers, speculation fills the space. But behind every theory is the same underlying truth. No one outside that family truly knows what they're enduring. And until there is clarity, the whispers will continue, some based on reason, others on fear. As of now, the search for little Gus Lamont remains one of the most haunting and unresolved cases in recent memory. Authorities have not declared the case closed, but active search operations have slowed. What remains is a quieter phase, one built on analysis, review, and waiting for any new clue that could shift the investigation forward. Police have made it clear there's still no evidence of foul play. The official stance is that Gus most likely wandered away from the family's remote property and somehow, in the vast and harsh landscape, disappeared without a trace. But even that explanation doesn't sit well with everyone. Locals, volunteers, and those who followed the case online can't help but wonder, how can a child simply vanish, leaving behind no clear trail? Not a piece of clothing, not a belonging, not even a reliable footprint. Nothing that definitively confirms what happened after that moment in the sandpile. Recent reviews of the search efforts have been conducted by external experts. Their conclusion? The operation was thorough, one of the largest coordinated searches the region has seen. Yet despite the hundreds of hours, advanced equipment, and manpower, the land gave nothing back. Some observers believe that renewed efforts might still come, perhaps through technology or updated data analysis. drones, mapping tools, and environmental models could re-examine the area under new perspectives, focusing on terrain that might have been overlooked. Meanwhile, the family remains under immense emotional strain. With every headline, every theory, they relive that day. The grandmother's emotional breakdown, the community's frustration, the police reviews, all of it feeds into an exhausting cycle of grief and unanswered questions. But despite the silence, one thing remains constant: a small hope that someday, somehow, the truth will surface. Whether it comes from renewed searches, a new witness, or an unexpected discovery, the case still holds the world's attention. Because stories like this don't fade away. They linger, quietly asking the same haunting question: where is Gus Lamont? And so, we come to the end of this chapter, but not the end of the story. The search for little Gus Lamont has stretched far beyond a simple missing person case. It's become a mirror reflecting fear, grief, and the unrelenting hope of a community that refuses to let go. Every drain dam, every footprint examined, every review conducted, they all speak to one thing: the determination to find closure, no matter how much time has passed. But what happens when answers don't come? When evidence fades and silence becomes the loudest sound? That's where we, the public, come in, not to spread rumors, not to assume guilt, but to remember, to keep the name Gus Lamont alive. Because every unsolved story deserves attention, and every family deserves peace. Some believe the truth will eventually come out, whether through new technology, a breakthrough clue, or even time itself revealing what the desert kept hidden. Until then, we wait. We ask questions. We stay compassionate. What do you think really happened that day? Was it a tragic accident in the wilderness, or something no one has dared to say aloud? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters. And if you want to stay updated as this case continues to unfold, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Because somewhere out there, someone still knows something. And maybe, just maybe, one more voice could help bring little Gus home.